today you'll be receiving from a message full of God's power to help you become everything that God has created you to be. You know, God sent his son, Jesus, to die for you to have a life of abundance and for you to be an ambassador for him. What does that mean? That your life should represent his goodness. It's time to be about it. Tune in today's message and you'll be blessed.
You know, there is just always so much that we are striving for, that we want. Whether it is that you are single and you are I just want to be married so bad, or I'm looking for the right person. Whether it is you're married and you wishing you weren't married, or maybe you want to have babies and it's not happening, or maybe, maybe you're in college and you have no idea what you want to do, and maybe you're trying to get enough money to get an education. Maybe you're trying to fix something. Maybe you're just trying to get that promotion at work, or just get into a place of just feeling like you have some purpose and looking for fulfillment and trying to get more money and trying to make sure your insurance is tight, trying to make sure you don't catch COVID, trying to make sure, it's just all these things that we want. Trying to have more money, trying to lose weight, trying to gain weight. Oh, Lord, I don't know who's doing that, but trying to gain weight and, whatever. And oftentimes when we think about our year of winning and victory, there are things there. There are things. I need this to happen. I'm believing for this. I want this to happen. I need this house. I need this car. And those things are great. But allow me to help us this morning to get away from all of the problems and all of the issues and all of the wants and all of the needs that we have, and just turn our focus back to number one, Jesus. There is no fulfillment without Jesus. You can get everything on your wish list and still feel like absolutely nothing without Jesus. You can get picked up by the most attractive person or the best company or have the highest salary, and it will be nothing without Jesus. There are people who are rich and famous and have all these things we wish for, these record contracts or these huge big movies, and they're still in depression. And we watch them deal with drugs and other things, not because they're bad people, but because they're looking for what we're all looking for. And that can't be found in things. It's found in Jesus. He ought to be number one. And if he's not number one, the moment he is not number one, you are in trouble. And that's just the truth. We have reduced God down to an ATM machine. I need something, so I'm going to go up and I'm going to punch my PIN code. And you better give me what I'm asking for, because if you don't, I'm out of here. We just read that everything that you think you want or you think you need, God knows what you need. He knows your wants. Psalms talks about, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That doesn't mean I won't have any desires. That means he fulfills all of that. But that fulfillment comes in him being number one. Turn to Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1. He has to be number one. Colossians chapter 1, verse 12. And again, my plan is, depending on the time. Ooh, did I even start my clock? Oh, Lord, praying for y'all. Okay. His plan is to bless. I'm going to read from the Amplified Bible as well, just to make sure. Sometimes it just brings a different enlightenment. I'm going to start in the King James. Colossians chapter 1, verse 12 says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who have delivered us from the power of darkness. Look at somebody and say, I'm delivered. Look at somebody else and say, you're delivered. He has delivered us from the power of darkness. Some of y'all are wrestling with stuff you'd already been delivered from. And have translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom we have redemption. Why? Through his blood. Whose blood? Number one. Jesus. Even the forgiveness of sins. Who is the image of the invisible God? The firstborn. Number one, y'all. The firstborn of every creature. For by number one were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. That what you know and that what you don't know. Whether they be thrones or dominions, principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. And he is number one. He is before all things. Why? Because by him, all things consist. And he is the head. Number one, y'all. He is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning. The firstborn, number one from the dead. That in all things he might have preeminence. Now let me just give you the definition for preeminence. Preeminence means this: to be first. To hold first place. And in the last part of this definition, I didn't see it until I went over my notes this morning again, and I had to write this down. It says first in rank and in influence. And some of us are so unfulfilled because it's so easy to be influenced by other things other than number one. Because we live in this world. We work with people. We're around people. When you wake up, if you're in a bad relationship, that's dead smack in your face. And it's so easy to let other things influence you. What people think, what people say. What you think and what you say. But he's saying Jesus ought to be the number one influencer in your life. Because we already read it in Matthew 6, and I'm going to beat this thing home. For however much longer I'm going to be up here. He has already made it clear, ladies and gentlemen, that his thoughts about you are not based about what you have. You don't need to be married to be fulfilled. That's a blessing. But stop putting marriage on this pedestal. You are working on a divorce if you let marriage be number one in your life in terms of when you single and you don't idolize this concept of how everything, you're going to feel this way, you're going to feel beautiful, or you're going to, when some woman is cooking your food and doing what she need to do so you can, that is a fallacy. The only marriage that's worth having anything is one where Jesus is number one. Because no human being, hear me, no human being can give you fulfillment. And when we expect that or demand that from people that we love, we put too much pressure on them. And that causes problems in the relationship. And that's how relationships break. And that's how we wake up so just, defeated, just so disappointed all the time. Jesus has not ever, nor will he ever let you down. There's a song that I absolutely love by a country artist, and she is a Christian. She just released a Christian album. Her name's Carrie Underwood. She released this song called Jesus Take the Wheel. And I admit there have been so many times, it seems so simple, Jesus take the wheel. But it is arguably the adjustment that so many of us need to make. Some of us have him in the car. My mother is like 100% prepared for all things. I'm grown. And when I get a new car or something, my mom will actually bring over, and has done this many times. And if you go check in the trunk of my minivan right now, you will see a Deborah Butler emergency packet that has Band-Aids, blankets, and if I let her, she'd fill it with disposable food. What happens if you're on the road and there's an EMP? Can't heat nothing up. You got to be able to eat. So I learned to keep that stuff in my trunk. So if I need it and something happens, I can go back. I can get it done. I can take care of you. You get shot, come to the trunk of my car and let me get in my Deborah Butler emergency package. I can handle it. And it's so easy to keep Jesus as your emergency package in the trunk of your car. That once you crash and burn, I can go in my trunk, hold up, and I can fix it. Let me just go in the trunk and grab something. Somebody who was never, ever meant to be in the trunk. He has to be in the driver's seat. You may be smart, you may be educated, you may be fine as wine, honey, but you better be in that passenger seat. Philippians chapter 3, I won't go there for now, but you got Paul laying out all of his attributes. He's talking about all the good stuff. I was born on the right day of the week. I got the right education. I was born on the right side of town. I look a certain way. You want zeal? I got zeal. And then he turned around and after he listed everything good about him, he put this out here, and let this be a reminder that it is still garbage next to Jesus and what he has to offer. My best attribute, as smart as I think I am, or whatever it is you think you got going for you, it is nothing next to Jesus. You ought not be in the front seat. He ought to be there. He ought to be number one. We don't work Jesus into our plans. He is our plan. Because I know, I hear that. Well, listen, I'm just a go-getter, and I'm not telling you to be lazy. Just sit back and don't do nothing. Honey, you heard what she said. That's why I'm sitting back. I'm not getting a job. I'm going to sit and read scripture all day long. I say he ought to be in the front seat. The Bible says acknowledge him in all your ways, in all your ways, in all your ways. You know why? Because he cares about all your ways. Why? Because all your ways can affect your life. If I was Jesus and I went and did all of that, died on the cross, got betrayed, spit on, holes in my hand, holes in my feet, so you can have a good life, and then I come back and you busted, broken, disgusted. But I did all that for you to have a good life. He's got to be number one. He has to be number one. He has to be number one. He has to be recognized as the preeminent one in my life. Because, you can get good at the day-to-day. I mean, even as a preacher, I've learned how to preach. So I know how to make a crowd move. And somebody might be patting me on the back and saying this is great. And, you might sell a few tapes or people telling you need to be all of this and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's worthless if I don't have Jesus.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I want to invite you to subscribe as well as visit our website at michelleferguson.org. We have some materials there that can help you as you walk through life, live the life that God created for you. As always, I'm Michelle Ferguson, helping you to discover, develop, and celebrate who God has created you to be. See you next time.